What is the best CPU air cooler you can buy for under $100? Well, hopefully today, we're gonna find out. Welcome back to Craft Computing, everyone. As always, I'm Jeff, and sitting next to me are three of the highest end air coolers that are on the market. Two of them you probably already recognize, but one of them is new to the party. All of these coolers today have one thing in common. They are dual tower coolers with dual 140mm fans, so small cases need not apply. Starting all the way on my right, your left, is Noctua's vaunted NH-D15, which is the successor to their, well, vaunted NH-D14. It features 6 heat pipes and comes with a pair of Noctua NF-A15 fans. These are 150mm size fans with a 140mm mounting pattern. Clearance on the cooler is 165mm tall with the fans installed, and up to 64mm of RAM clearance on either side of the socket. Unfortunately, Noctua doesn't give their cooler a TDP rating, so we're just gonna have to guess on this one. Up next is another very well-known cooler. It is the Be Quiet Dark Rock Pro 4. This one has a little bit of a different design, using 7 6mm heat pipes instead of 6, and it also uses a 120mm and a 135mm fan instead of the 140mm pairs found on the other two coolers. The Dark Rock Pro 4 is slightly shorter, and by slightly I mean by 2mm, standing at 163mm high. There's also less RAM clearance available on this one, with only 40mm of clearance under that far right fan. It does boast a 250 watt TDP, making this more than adequate for just about any CPU on the market. And finally, enter the new challenger. This is the GamerStorm by DeepCool Assassin 3, and the cooler that I previewed all the way back at CES in January. Boasting a 280 watt TDP, DeepCool is basically claiming this will not only match the other two coolers on this table, it'll downright beat them. And that's a pretty high claim given the reputation of both the Noctua NH-D15 and the Be Quiet Dark Rock Pro 4. The Assassin 3 also boasts 7 heat pipes, dual 140mm fans, and a 165mm total height. It also sits squarely between the Dark Rock Pro 4 and the NH-D15 with 54mm of RAM clearance. The plan for today is to put all three of these coolers into my Be Quiet DarkBase Pro 900 Revision 2. It has an i9-9900K on an ASRock Z390 Phantom Gaming motherboard. So with the introductions and formalities out of the way, let's bring on our first contender.
The next day.
Good morning. With the delays that happened yesterday, this one almost became a two-parter. Let's go ahead and go through all three of the coolers individually, and then I'll give you my roundup conclusion at the end. Sounds like a pretty good way to do things. Starting with the Noctua NH-D15. First off, this was a classic Noctua unboxing experience. All the parts were laid out beautifully inside the box, individually labeled, and the instructions could not have been more clear. Installation was also dead simple. Put the backplate through the back of the motherboard, put in the spacers, and then screw the top bracket onto the backplate. Add a little bit of thermal paste, and then screw the cooler into the top bracket until the screws stop turning. One thing I like about the Noctua NH-D15 is the cooler is 100% symmetrical, meaning I can install it into my case in any orientation I'd like. What's really nice is if you have an inverted build, like I did today, you can install the cooler with the name facing the proper direction. On paper, the Noctua does boast up to 64mm of RAM clearance. However, upon closer inspection, you can see in dual fan mode, that's not exactly the case. You'll notice the nice little cutout at the front of the heatsink here. That's to accommodate for up to 64mm high DIMMs. However, with the front fan installed, that number goes all the way down to 32mm of clearance. So keep that in mind and make sure you accommodate for the extra height in your case if you need to raise your fan up. Next, let's talk performance and how I actually got my metrics on these coolers. My 9900K is overclocked to 5 GHz at 1.330 volts. It's a pretty standard overclock for the 9900K and something that most people would be able to achieve. The first test was to run Cinebench R20 in a loop until the CPU temperature stopped climbing. This was to replicate a workstation or rendering workload on the CPU. The second test was to replicate a gaming workload, so I ran the TimeSpy stress test inside of 3D Mark for 15 minutes and then recorded the max temperature observed. Inside of Cinebench on the Noctua, we saw temperatures reach 97 degrees, but that's actually pretty impressive for a 5 GHz overclock with an AVX workload. As for gaming, we saw a peak of just 75 degrees on the NH-D15, meaning it is capable of daily driving a 5 GHz overclock. However, you might want to install an AVX offset of -2 to keep your Cinebench runs a little bit cooler. Moving on to the Be Quiet Dark Rock Pro 4, and just like the Noctua, it is an excellent unboxing experience. Everything is very well laid out inside the case, and the instructions could not have been more clear. Installation of this cooler on the motherboard was a little bit more difficult than the other two. It starts the same with the backplate, spacers, and top bracket installed onto the motherboard. From there, however, it's not just screwing the cooler into the top bracket. There's actually a retention bracket that goes over the top and then sandwiches all three parts together. And the screws for that top bracket are actually loose, meaning that it's actually quite difficult to get them lined up into the holes. This is most definitely a cooler that needs to be installed with the motherboard outside of the case. However, I didn't feel like swapping the motherboard in and out of the case every time I wanted to swap coolers, so I just kind of barreled through it. It was possible to install while inside the case, but certainly not easy. You will have better luck installing this outside of the case, however, it was still significantly more difficult than the other two. All that said, I think it is still the best looking cooler of the bunch here. The DarkRock Pro 4 is also not symmetrical like the other two coolers, meaning that putting it into an inverted motherboard means my logo is upside down, which I find kind of ironic that I was using a Be Quiet inverted motherboard layout. The DarkRock Pro 4 had the best RAM clearance out of all three coolers, which was something I was a little bit surprised by, as it didn't advertise as having such. On to performance, and inside Cinebench, the DarkRock Pro 4 hit 105 degrees Celsius, which is certainly warmer than I'm comfortable running the CPU. Now, it never thermal throttled, but you don't want to daily drive your CPU up to 105 degrees Celsius. So for content creation at 5 GHz, this one's out. As for gaming, the DarkRock Pro 4 actually matched the NH-D15 with a peak of just 76 degrees Celsius. So for a 5 GHz daily driven gaming rig, the DarkRock Pro 4 is a solid option. Onto the new kit on the block, the Gamerstorm by DeepCool Assassin 3. Packaging-wise, this one was just a half step below the other two. There were still individual baggies for all your parts, and the instructions were pretty well laid out. However, the box it was all contained in was just kind of tossed in there, so it wasn't a premium unboxing experience. Still quite good though. Installation-wise, the Assassin 3 went in just as easily as the Noctua, and the same exact process applies. Put in the backplate, put in the spacers, put in the top bracket, and then screw the cooler down. Similar to the Noctua, I did have a little bit of RAM clearance issue with the Assassin 3, with the fan resting on top of my DIMMs. However, it was still able to fit underneath the glass panel. Looks-wise, as I said, objectively, the Be Quiet is the best looking cooler here, and a lot of people will be either take it or leave it on the Noctua Brown. I'm not a fan of the looks of the Assassin 3 though. I do like the look of the fans, however the mirror tops on the heatsink and the Mitsubishi Lancer spoilers that are on top that are kind of a cheap plastic, that's just kind of a miss for me. However, quality of materials wise, it is just as solid as the other two coolers on this table, so it absolutely gets a pass in that department. Now the NH-D15 does not give a power rating for this cooler, and the Be Quiet advertises up to 250 watts of displacement, which is about what we saw as my 9900K was reporting that it was drawing about 225. The Assassin 3 though boasts up to 280 watts of heat displacement, meaning it should be the best performing cooler on this table. But how did it do? In our Cinebench test, we hit a max temp of 100 degrees, so better than the Be Quiet, but it couldn't quite match the NH-D15. But again, that is not a terrible result with that particular test. Using an AVX offset of just 1 to 200 MHz, I think the Assassin 3 would be a dynamite performer. And as far as gaming goes, it actually performed the best out of all three coolers on the table here, reaching a peak of just 70 degrees Celsius. I used the second highest default fan curve on my motherboard called the performance setting, which is just one step shy of setting all the fans to 100% all the time. This setting starts to aggressively ramp up your fan curve around 60 degrees Celsius, so all three of these coolers were on even ground when it came to performance testing. So the Assassin 3 certainly held its own against the two incumbents. However, that claimed 280 watts of displacement, I think you would need to add a third fan onto the heatsink to even approach that number. So conclusion time as a gamer, you are not going to be disappointed with any of the three coolers on this table. All of them performed admirably with a 5 GHz at 1.330 volt, and you certainly could daily drive this in a gaming rig. Volume-wise, all three of these performed quite well, with the Assassin being slightly louder and the Be Quiet being slightly quieter and the Noctua somewhere in the middle. However, a slight adjustment to your fan curve could have all of these on a pretty even plane. So which of these three coolers do I recommend for content creation? Well, the Noctua NH-D15 definitely won the performance crown, peaking at just 97 degrees Celsius and hitting a gaming workload of about 75 degrees. So if performance is your absolute goal, this one seemed to perform better than the other two. As far as content creation, the Be Quiet was the worst performer on the table, but remember an AVX workload at 5 GHz is not an easy ask of any cooler. For long-term use, I would recommend an AVX offset of at least 2 on the Noctua and the Assassin 3 over here, with maybe a 3 or 4 AVX offset on the Be Quiet. And which one would I pick up for a gaming build? Honestly, whichever one you like the look of best. And let me know which one that is down in the comments below. On your way down there, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Craft Computing if you haven't done so already. Follow me on Twitter at Craft Computing to keep up with my daily shenanigans, and if you'd like to financially back the channel, there's a couple different ways you can do so. First off, if you are interested in picking up any of these 3 coolers on the table here, or any parts that I do feature on the channel, make sure to follow the Amazon affiliate links down in the video description. Secondly, if you'd like to directly financially back the channel, make sure to look me up on Patreon. A minimum donation of $1 a month gets you access to my exclusive Discord server, where you can chat with myself and the other hosts from Talking Heads. That's going to do it for me in this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next video. Cheers, guys. Today's beer is from Wild Ride Brewing Company. It is the Tardy to the Party Cherry Lemon Sour Ale, 5.6%. Smells like lemon. Oh, wow, is that sour. Wow. That one might be a struggle. I don't think I can do this one. It tastes like a lemon cleaning product. Certainly not like an ale that I should be putting into my body. It is super, super tart. All I taste is lemon. There's no cherry there at all. And it almost finishes with like this bready, toasted biscuit kind of flavor on the back end. The flavor on the back isn't all that unpleasant, but getting there is quite the journey. Some of you out there, some really fanatical sour drinkers, you may find this beer enjoyable. I'm not finding anything redeeming about it. Oh, it's just not very good. Get ready to make your taste buds dance. Tardy to the Party Cherry Lemon Sour Ale is a kettle soured ale with the addition of cherries to give a touch of extra sweetness and complexity in the beer. Lemons are also added to the brew to create a tart flavor that are prominent in the mouthfeel, which blends well with the sweet flavors to add pleasant aroma as well as fruity sour taste. Full of flavor from tart to finish, this sour ale is the party you don't want to miss. There is nothing sweet about this beer. There is no blend of tartness and lemon and cherry and sweetness. This literally tastes like lemon pledge. It tastes like something I shouldn't be drinking. We're gonna try a different beer.